Hey everyone, welcome to the Grad Missions Office Hours podcast. I'm Autumn.
Hi everyone, I'm Lizanne.
Hi, I'm Logan.
Okay, so we have something interesting to talk about today. Autumn shared
Breaking news.
Autumn shared some interesting information with us in our staff meeting, and so I thought maybe we would talk about that today. So now, Autumn, these are LSAT takers each month, correct? What
Right.
the numbers I'm about to share? Okay.
Yes. So for
So,
September, they're registrants because testing window starts today. So people will be taking the September LSAT anytime between now and Sunday. Will all those people show up and actually take the test? Question mark. And same for October. But the August numbers are people who were booties in seats took the test.
okay, so for August 2023, there were 16,666 LSAT takers. In
Lucky.
2024, there were 22,732, a little bit of an increase there. In 2025, in August 2025, there were 27,951 LSAT takers. So now looking forward to September 2023, there were almost 18,000, 2024, about 18,000, 2025,
Yeah.
28,886.
Astronomical
And
increase.
then in October, 23 and 24 were in the 22,000 range. For 2025, we're 38,826.
Yeah.
What do we make of this? What are we meant to understand from these numbers?
It's a good time to be a law school dean. I'll tell you that for free. Like it's a good time. We have I have seen this ebb and flow. I have never seen numbers like this. And, almost 17 years in the industry, I've never seen numbers like this. So, an LSAC doesn't have on record numbers like this. I think there are several things that play in. Lizanne, you weigh in too because you've got your boots on the ground here in a little bit different capacity. Um, we know there's a bit of a recession, right?
Yeah.
There's a whisper of that. And anytime we see that happen, college grads are having a hard time finding a job right out of undergrad. They figure, let me spend these 3 years getting a law degree so that I'm more marketable when things start to rebound. If I'm not going to be able to get the job I want right now, I might as well invest in myself. I think that's still a lot of this number.
Mhm. And I think there's also a bump in non-traditional applicants who are looking to make a career change. There's been a big shift in a lot of industries where a JD would elevate you or even help you maintain your current position. And so a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to go to law school, I'm going to be in the courtroom. And that's not necessarily the case. There is a pretty big sector of JD preferred jobs. So it's just going to elevate you, especially if you're in a government position, and even in the private industry. So people are taking a break, which is huge. I think about some of the folks that we're working with that have families and they have a full-time paid job and they're taking a break from that in order to pursue a law degree. So there's just a lot of varying aspects of it. But I agree, Autumn, we have not seen these numbers ever. And so, for us, it's even more of a push. We've always been of the reason of get your apps in early, but even more so now, it's like we need to get these applications in early because the competition is going to be quite fierce.
It is. And you're going to have to go above and beyond in your application and your admissions experience.
Yeah.
This is not the year where you can sail in an application on March 14th, even if you have a 178 LSAT and a 4.0. At that point, it's not going to matter. Their class will be full. Um, I what I'm hearing ear to the ground is that law schools are going to wait a bit to see what the applicant pool looks like before they start admitting very critical mass of people to classes because some of them I think got burned last cycle, right? They started admitting early, not knowing what was coming, and they ended up having full classes and hoping people would drop off. And I think law schools are going to be playing the long game this cycle, and so your best bet is to number one, get your application in early, quality, make sure you've woven a really strong cohesive brand through it, and you're a compelling applicant. Number two, you have got to get your LSAT to a competitive spot. This is not the year to lay your head back, kick your feet up, and say, oh, holistic review. No, they
Yeah.
are going to have 4,700 people with the same LSAT GPA as you. Your LSAT has to be better. So if you're wondering if you need to retake the LSAT, yes. I don't care what your LSAT is. Unless it's a 180, my answer to you is yes. You need to study for and retake the LSAT. If you are eligible for accommodations or even think that you might be eligible for accommodations, you need to request them because you are at a significant disadvantage if you do not. Number three, you have got to visit your school. You're going to have to make a personal connection with the admissions team. You're going to have to be on time. You're going to have to let them know that you're coming. You're going to have to make an appointment. You're going to have to show up and sell yourself in an authentic, kind way. You need to pop in and watch some Vanessa Van Edwards so that you know how to present yourself warmly, to have warmth and competence. This is a year that if you want to go to law school, you have got to be ready to work.
Hey, I have a question about your third point there. I'm way more familiar with the med space,
Mhm.
and we don't usually make that recommendation in the med space about getting to know the admissions team. Why is that different between med and JD?
I think that was the thing that caused me the most whiplash when I went from working, leading an admissions team at law schools to leading an admissions team at a med school. It's a closed box, the med school admissions process. It is all contingent on an interview, and so that is your visit to campus, your interview. In the law school space, there is not a standard interview protocol, and so your visit to campus sort of serves as that. And some law schools don't permit it, most of them do. And so it sort of takes the place of that interview component.
Our advice is yes, it may not be mandatory, but for us, it is mandatory. It may not be called an interview, but showing up to that school and presenting yourself outside of your documents, which are going to be super strong. But that is just the icing on the cake, so to speak. You're meeting with that person, you're showing them your competence and that warmth, and you're showing them that you're not just throwing darts at a board. Because
Yes.
with some of these folks who, like I said, they law school may not have been their first choice, so they're just gonna, you know, they can't find a job anywhere else, so they're just gonna apply to law schools and see where it sticks. Um, you want to set yourself apart from that, and that I'm actually interested in this school. I was thoughtful about my strategic school list, which is what we do here at Grad Missions. I was thoughtful about where I was applying to. I can see myself at this school for XYZ reasons. That's really going to help push your application to the top of the pile. And then also, I think it's really helpful for you as the applicant to be able to go in. A good school is going to answer your questions because it's all about fit. And so they may, once you meet the academic thresholds, yes, they're going to take a holistic review. You need to take a holistic review of these schools because in the end of the day, you're going to be spending 3 years there building your legal network. And so going in and meeting the admissions folks is helpful for your application, but also it's helpful for you and choosing a school that's right for you. And this doesn't need to be a quick down and dirty decision. It's a really big investment.
It is. And med schools use a rank score, right? So it's MCAT, science GPA, cumulative GPA, interview score, and then it's tabulated. It's numeric. Like there's not, people talk about softs in med school. I mean, ish, right? Like there are some softs that people consider in your interview portion, but most of med school admissions is it's a numbers game, and it's hard to kind of move things around. In law school, there is no such thing, right? Like there's a lot of subjectivity to the admissions.
That I was just gonna say it's so subjective.
It is
It
subjective.
really is. Now don't hear that and say, well, my LSAT's crap, but it'll be fine. I'll go do a
It
visit
won't.
and tell them how
It's
great
not
I
going to be fine. You're not going to go to law school.
am. You have to meet those thresholds
You do.
at the end of the day. The holistic review is it's not an excuse, it's a bolster to the application. And so when you hear us say that, it's not just like Autumn said, if your LSAT's crap, you're not getting into law school. Um, but the holistic review is the everything else that we work with our clients on, building beautiful essays, a great resume, talking about yourself and that personal brand, all of those things make it just chef's kiss.
So
Mhm.
now is the expectation that you go in person to make this connection? Can it be a robust relationship over email? Are you doing that for maybe your top 5 schools? I mean, there's a travel component here for some students. We have students applying all over the country.
I would say at least your top 3 schools.
Yeah.
You need to be boots on the ground on that campus with an appointment. And strategically, it is, end of September into October when you're doing these visits, because you want them to have your application in hand so that they can have read about you. Then they meet you in person, and that's 2 really strong touch points. The other thing is, let me tell you the worst way to do this. The worst way to do this, Lizanne, back me up on this.
Just ghost them. Just submit and then don't do anything.
That's okay. That's a terrible idea. Here's the second terrible idea: to just show up at a law school on a Friday at 2:30.
I forgot about this. I blocked this out.
I know. It's like childbirth. Like, wait, no, this doesn't happen. No, it absolutely does happen.
Yeah.
And the admissions team has been deep in the throes of reading 3,000 applications. They have taken a quick little lunch at the Mott, um, and have come back a little bit pink-cheeked from sitting out on the patio. And you're sitting there in the chair, and the dean's like, "This student is here. This is an applicant. They're here to take a tour." And you're like,
And they brought their dad.
and they brought their dad, and they've got a bag from the campus bookstore because they bought all their merch already. And they're like, "Hey, can I like sit in on a class, man?" And you're like, first of all, there are no law classes on a Friday afternoon this late. They're just not. Second of all, even if they were, it's the persnickety professor who's I'm gonna need to like genuflect and ask permission 3 weeks ago for you to visit. The only students here are really disgruntled because they have class on a Friday afternoon deep in the time. Like, I can take you on a tour, but number one, it's a ghost town. Number two, if you had given me some heads up, I could have arranged for you to have lunch with a student organization that has similar interests to you. I could have let you sit in on a class with a professor who I know you're going to love. I would have marked my calendar to have a formal interview with you. I would have read your application and we could have had a really meaningful experience. So when I say visit campus, I don't mean just like show up on a whim. I mean, let's be thoughtful about this. You have got to show professionalism at every single point of the cycle. Right.
Absolutely. And again, it's also for your benefit because if you schedule in advance, say you're really interested in being a federal prosecutor one day, on the admissions team, I'm going to schedule you for a criminal law class
Mhm.
and to meet that professor and then, meet with, like Autumn was saying, student orgs. Like it can be a really tailored, helpful visit. Just
You
take
can pop into the legal clinic and talk to them about how, like, starting in 2L year, or as soon as you pass MPRE, you can start working with real clients. Like, we can roll out the red carpet for you, and we want to. Like, help me help you.
yes.
I also just want to say,
A tour of the building is it's just the building. I mean,
just
it
the
may
building,
be
right?
building,
You can do that
but
virtually.
exactly. And you want to talk to people who aren't paid to be there. So seeing, not only sitting in on the class, getting to know the professor, but seeing how the students interact with one another. Are they talking with one another before class? Is everyone sitting there being quiet? Just getting the feel of the vibes, so to speak, I think is really important.
Yeah, it's so important. And um, the other thing I just want to say is it's going to be an intense cycle. You are going to have long stretches of time where you don't hear from law schools and you're going to be wringing your hands. If you're a grad missions client, you can make an appointment and I will talk with you about how everyone is collectively wringing their hands. And I will tell you how you're okay and this is going to be all right because we're confident in the product that we've created together. But you have got to remain professional. You cannot get snippy with the admin at these law schools. It is not their fault that there's a million extra people in the applicant pool who are all demanding their time. And you showing professionalism and kindness and courtesy in this unprecedented time, like here's another unprecedented time for you, sorry, is really going to, first of all, it's just going to build good karma. Like you don't want to be putting this bad energy into your admissions cycle. But second of all, you're going to get farther with admissions teams when you're kind and authentic and patient and understand that they are doing the best that they can. They have the same goal. They want to have the best class possible. They want to let you know as early as possible with the most amount of scholarship. Same team. We just have to show each other kindness and a little bit of space as we kind of embark on this together.
Yeah, so I'm glad we're talking about this because, at the core of who I am, I desperately don't want to be a bother to someone. So knowing that I need to be present in their inbox, perhaps also in their office, is good to know. How much is too much? Does the limit exist?
Oh, it exists.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it does. Letters of continued interest, emails of continued interest. First of all, it's too early right now. Apps just opened 3 days ago. Calm down. Um, I think a once a month check-in
Yeah.
ahead of April is a pretty good rule of thumb. Law schools will let you know. Do things happen sometimes and LSAC has people fall through the cracks? Absolutely. Like this has happened. So if you notice that there's a lag in your app tracker or something like that, it's absolutely worth a reach. Keep it brief, bullet points when necessary. We don't need to know your life story, include your LSAC account number, but checking in more than once a month it's too much. If you visit campus, following up with a handwritten thank you note to anyone you met is a really good idea in a cycle like this, showing some courtesy.
Yeah.
And also, I do have one more topic about an LSAT application that we haven't broached yet.
Okay. No, I don't have any. I think those were all really great points. And just when you show up, treating everyone with respect is super helpful, even if it's just someone checking you in for a visit. That's an important person that is going to let people know how you treated them. That's just a life tip in general,
Uh,
but yeah.
yes, yes. Okay, so we've talked quite a bit on this podcast about AI, right? And about ChatGPT and about, all of these different AI tools that people can use. AI is not going anywhere. It's here, so we have to learn how to work with it, and how to use it to our advantage in an ethical way and what that looks like. Applications to law school opened 2 days ago on Labor Day, and the University of Miami is out here with quite a question. So I had, I think, 3 to 4 separate clients DM me on or texting me on Labor Day, like, what is this question? What are we doing? Because at grad missions, we do some pre-writing of the supplemental essays that we anticipate, but every cycle, it's kind of like with secondaries in med school, like law schools are going to come out with new kinds of questions. And so you have to be ready to think on your feet. I'm going to read you all this question. Get ready for your hair to curl. Are you ready? In today's legal landscape, practitioners increasingly collaborate with AI tools to enhance research, analysis, and decision-making. The ability to design effective AI interactions, asking the right questions in the right way, has become an essential skill for modern lawyers. This prompt assesses your ability to leverage generative AI tools strategically and thoughtfully. This is optional, by the way. You should use large language models to test and refine your prompts during this exercise. You will be evaluated on the quality of your prompt design inputs, not the AI's responses outputs. Limit your response to 500 words. Optional. Draft a detailed prompt for a large language model to generate a comprehensive analysis that will help you make an informed decision about which law school to attend. Your prompt should be specific enough to provide actionable insights while thoughtfully considering the most important factors in this decision. Additionally, provide 3 to 5 follow-up prompts that anticipate the AI responses and allow you to explore your options on a deeper level. These follow-up prompts should provide you with more detailed and specific information about each of your choices. Consider the order of the prompts as you feed them into the generative AI. Maximum characters 500.
I think
I
I found
love
out
that.
halfway through that.
Right? Okay, thoughts. I want to hear what you think, and then I'm gonna tell you what I think.
Go ahead, Logan.
I well, first of all, you said this was University of Miami.
It is. Yeah, they're law school.
That immediately, I mean, I'm not going to law school, so that's not what I mean by that. But
Yes,
in the
yes.
big picture of things, that immediately makes me interested in that school because they are on the cutting edge. They are thinking, they're accepting it, acknowledging that it's a reality, acknowledging that it's a tool.
Mhm.
And what's so interesting about the question is it's going to tell them so much about what the applicant is looking for.
No! I'm like, this is freaking genius!
Genius.
Genius.
And then it's going to pop up. University of Miami meets this need. I think it's so smart too because I keep reading this research on how like AI makes people worse writers. And my husband and I were talking about this. I'm like, but I think if you use it in the right way, aka make the prompts really thoughtful, not just like plug in grunts and groans and a few words,
Right.
um, it could help your creativity. And so I like that they're judging the prompt because that's making you actually think about
Yeah.
the goal. And so I'm like, that's the way to do it is thinking thoughtfully through an appropriate prompt, not just plugging it in and seeing what it writes for you.
That's right. That's right. I thought it was genius. I'm like, as like a former admissions leader, like if I had this like level of detail, because the applicant is going to be so focused on like writing the right thing that they're not going to disguise like what they're looking for in a law school and what they're hoping
Yep.
to get from the experience and what are the important factors for them. And so
Right.
you're basically having them like completely expose all of their desires so that if you're doing this right, and I have no doubt that Miami will do this correctly, you are developing your recruiting strategy crowdsourced from your applicant pool.
This genius. So
Isn't
smart.
it so smart? Well, the students are freaked out. They're like, wait, the first question was, if I do this, are they going to know that I'm using AI? And I'm like, yeah, dude, that's the whole point. That is the whole point. They know you are. Like, we're all like pretending we're not, but we are. Like, everyone's using it to some capacity, right? Like, even if it's just creating your shopping list each week from the menu plan that you develop, like, you're using it all the time. And I think it's going to really render some interesting responses. I look for other law schools to be implementing something like this once it gets out.
I think it's so smart.
That is so interesting. It also really the student's response also is really highlighting something for me. So, in addition to doing my work here at Grad Missions, I also work more at an undergraduate level as well for admissions. And whenever I bring up ChatGPT with my K through 12 students, they're like, it's like I said a bad word, and like we're not we know it exists, but we're not supposed to talk about it. And I feel like that obviously is the same at the higher education level, that this isn't really supposed to be used. No one's teaching them how to use it as a tool.
Right.
They're acting like it's a cheat code,
Yeah.
or, I mean, it is a hack, in my opinion, depending on how you use
It's
it. I
a
don't
hack,
think a hack is a
absolutely.
bad thing. Um, but yeah, I appreciate like dragging it out into the light. Because also, the sooner we can drag it out into the light, the sooner we can start having ethical conversations.
It's like sex ed.
Yes.
It really is. Like everyone wants to pretend like it's not, and we wind up with a bunch of pregnant teenagers. You know what I mean? And like we people who are on academic probation because they didn't know how to use it properly. They don't understand that your AI experience is only as good as the effort that you put into it and the care that you use at the end, right? And your motivation and all of those things. So I completely agree with you. I thought it was genius. So far, it is the most innovative of the supplemental essay prompts that I've seen so far. And I haven't seen a ton of them, right? Apps just opened. Everybody else has kept things pretty steady, but like, way to go, Miami. I'm going to give them a little like snappy shout out because I think it's creative and it's making people think, and I think they are going to get such good information out of it. Awesome. So don't be scared, be prepared. I'm going to give you some Oklahoma weather like mottos here, but yes, applications are on the rise. LSAT takers are on the rise. Schools are going to be playing their cards pretty close to the vest, probably for this first semester. You have got to get your application together. You cannot wait to see your October, November LSAT score before you hit submit. You just can't, unless you want to wait and start fall 2027, in which case you are right on time. When is the right time to reach out to us to get started? Like yesterday. Our
Yeah.
JD calendar is filling, and I anticipate our JD 27 calendar will be filled long, long before the applications are opening for that cycle year. So there's never been a better time to engage. We have a plan, we have a strategy around how to manage this, and we are also keeping a very close watch on the skies. Like we're going to know what's happening. We have an excellent spectrum of applicants at every range across the US. We are on calls from Pacific to East Coast all day long. And so you are also going to benefit when you work with us from that crowdsourced knowledge that we have about what's happening in the applicant pool, just to make sure that you're in keeping. So take heart, it's okay. You just have to be thoughtful.
Good content here on this one. I hope everyone enjoyed. We're gonna go ahead and turn the lights off in our office today, but the lights are always on our socials. Send Autumn an email at autumn@gradmissions.org, however you want to get a hold of us.
Bye, y'all.
Talk to you soon. Bye.